Let's talk about something that quietly destroys a lot of men. The moment they surrender their authority without even realizing it. The pain that follows brings self-doubt that slowly erodes your confidence. You don't consciously choose it. It's like a reaction. You react, and it shows up in your attitude. It eats away at your healthy ambition, your health, and ultimately, your relationships. You become overly emotional, explosive in your attitude, punishing with silence or harsh words, and you get petty in your deeds. How do I know that? Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. You let other people's actions dictate your attitude, which leads to blame shifting, justifying your lack of effort and your selfish intentions. All coming from unmet expectations, buildup of resentment, and ultimately from a place of bitterness. I've been there. Today, we're going to stop that cycle. We're going to restore your authority by focusing only on what you can actually affect. That's what this episode is called today. Focus on what you can affect. This is Where Do I Start? My name is Quincy Moran, and this is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Man vs. Marriage. It is I, your humble servant, the Q-Dawg. I'm in the Moran family studio. Today, we're going to talk about something that you let get away from you and you didn't even realize it. And that was your authority. And I'm not talking about the kind of authority where you walk around and you say, listen, everybody, I'm the freaking man. You got to do what I say because I'm the leader of the home. The Bible says it. This guy Quincy on a podcast, he says it. Everywhere I look, it says that the man is the leader, so I have authority. So do what I say. That's not it. What's interesting about authority is that your wife and your children and others have to make a choice to acknowledge your authority. So if you got to walk around telling everybody that you are the leader, let me tell you a secret. You're not the leader. How do I know? Like I said earlier, in the opening monologue, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. But let's talk about what we can do to help you. Okay? Because that matters. That's why we are here. I'm going to give you some practical ways to look at that. And in doing so, I want you to take this and go practice it. Okay? Because if you leave here and nothing changes, that's on you. It's not on me. What I'm giving you is testimonial. It's not a told story. It's testimonial. What does that mean? What's the difference? One of them is I bled for this. The other is I read this. Now, both can be very powerful, but what I'm offering you is something that I've become. That's how I know it's possible, because I have become it. That's how I know it's possible for you if you're willing to do it. So let's talk about it. Focusing on what you can affect relates directly to these four things: your attitude, your actions, your effort, and your intention. Attitude is how you begin to discipline your emotions. Actions are the choices you make and how you govern your new man, regardless of how you feel. Your effort asks, are you all in? And finally, your intentions. Are you operating from a baseline of what's in this for me or in service to those you seek to lead? My gosh. You know, I write these shows and then there's some time before I go and record them. These are things that I know, but bro, high five. That's me high-fiving me because holy cow, that is so well said. I'm going to read it again. Focusing on what you can affect relates directly to your attitude, your actions, your effort, and your intentions. Attitude is how you begin to discipline your emotions. Actions are the choices you make and how you govern your new man, regardless of how you feel. That is such a key to this whole principle, because right now, I'm not saying men can't have feelings, but how often are we being led by our feelings, and your feelings will lie to you? You are built with a logical framework for a reason. And we need to stop allowing how we feel to dictate how we operate. Is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. Does it create extreme value? Yes. Your efforts ask you this: are you all in? And finally, your intentions. My Lord, I had no idea how important, how life-changing intentions are. Are you operating from this baseline? You have to ask yourself this. Gosh, I'm getting intense so early in the program. You have to ask yourself this. Do you operate out of what's in this for me? Or are you in service that for those you seek to lead? Because that, my friends, that gentlemen's, is a major pivot point. Because if you're acting out of selfish ambition, you can never truly lead somebody with pure authority, with pure motive of authority. Because it's about, what do I get for me? I'm telling you, that's a very low-level mindset. At least it was for me. No, it is. And that's it. This is an early stage of discipline. It doesn't come natural. It's what I like to call, it's part of my KISS principle. It doesn't mean that it's empty just because we're going to keep it simple. It means that it's very practical, at least to understand it. It's very simple in its nature. Restoring your authority begins the moment you decide you want to take responsibility and choose the path of becoming a new man. The process is becoming that new man. And you may be asking yourself, Quincy, how do I decide today? How do I do that? And I'll say this: you make the choice and you decide to believe it no matter how you feel. That's how you decide. That's how you choose. That's how you make the choice and decide to become a new man, by doing it. Now, look, I know you may think that's too simple, or that's about as awesome as the ending of the final ending of the Game of Thrones, which was a huge letdown. But let me tell you, there's bliss in that simplicity, because those are very simple words. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy to take action on it. So what's the difference between simple and easy? Simple are the words. It's what it is articulated to be. The easy part, why is it not always easy? Because the easy requires actions. That's the actionable side. And so something can be simple, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. So choose to believe it. It's that simple. Choose to believe it. Period. How do I know? Because I did. Now, does life test you? Does life challenge you to say, oh, you're a new guy? Well, hey, let me bring this your way. Yes, it does. And guess what? It was going to happen anyway. The difference is before you were going with the flow, so you didn't feel the pressure of it. But now you're turning in another direction and you're swimming upstream. So you feel resistance, and you should. You should feel resistance because you have turned and gone the other direction. You've been too comfortable for too long. You've been what I call comfortably miserable because you've acclimated to disappointment after disappointment after disappointment, and you've justified who you are and what you're doing, blaming everyone else. So what happens when you surrender your authority? So the next thing is to take action, and that's coming up. I'm going to reiterate it. What is one of the steps here in order to understand where you are? If you're a longtime listener to the program, you could probably say this without me saying it, but it's understanding the quiet dialogue that goes on. So what is quiet dialogue? That's what your thoughts are. That's what starts running through your head. I've got a few examples here I want to show you. What happens? What do you talk about on the inside when you're mad? What about when you're disappointed? What about when you're offended and somebody offends you? What about when you lose? What about when you fail? Here's the kicker. What about when you win? What are those thoughts when you think of those people that let you down? When you think of those people who did you wrong? When you think of that ex-girlfriend from high school or college or whatever? What are the thoughts when your wife is a freaking jerk? Is that possible? You tell me. What are your thoughts when you don't get sex? What's going on up here? What are you saying to yourself? That is very important to know, because what is such a big deal is to start to understand, why do you do what you do? I became a student of that because I wanted to know why I acted the way that I did and how I surrendered my authority when I did. But also want to know how to reassume command of my authority. And I did. So what I want you to do is I want you to listen to me now in this. I've told you this over and over. And it's because it is so important for us to obtain this mindset that life is about who you are becoming. Life is about who you are becoming. And so, in order to know who you are becoming, you have to define that. Right now, you might be like I was, which is continually focused on who I didn't want to be. So the more I focused on who I didn't want to be, the more I connected with who I didn't want to be. And it did not produce long-term results. Now, there was a time when I had to have that Gandalf the Grey, thus far and no more. I had to write my principles. I had to decide who I wanted to be. And when the familiar came up, I had to say, no, that's not me. I'm taking that thought captive. That's not me. Until I became the new man in that particular area. So it's very important you learn how to do that. Well, how do you figure out who you want to be? There are a number of ways in this world. I mean, it is the TikTok generation, right? You can go figure out anything you want to on TikTok. I even got a biscuit recipe from there from my sister, and it was outstanding, and I loved it. Very good biscuits, by the way. Here's the thing, though, is that you really don't know if that person that's on TikTok is giving you, I read this or I bled for this. I can tell you with great certainty, and you can email me and you can take me, you can challenge me on this. What I'm about to tell you is I bled for this because it's what I really did. Standing in Lancaster, California at the Physical Junkie private gym where PJ Bowen is the owner, I was listening to Jay Ferrugia on Renegade Radio, and he talked to me about a subject that changed my life, and it's called the funeral experience. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do a celebration of life in a week. I won't say I'm terrified, but I'm very, very nervous. Because I'm doing this for my family. And it means the world to me to honor the legacy of who we're going to celebrate. And I want to do her justice. So, what is the funeral experience? That's where you stop where you are. You fast forward to your celebration of life or to your funeral. And there are people around, and it's the people who matter the most in your life, and you have to decide who those are. You name them, get them in order, do whatever you need to do, but just get you a handful of people in your heart that matter the most and begin to think about what kind of words do you want them to say about you when they're celebrating your time on this earth? What impact do you want to make on their life? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Start to build those words out in your head. And once you do, once you get 10, you can have less than 10. Get you a handful of those words. Now, wake up, come back to present day. Think about those words and say, if I change nothing, will I become that man? I can tell you what my answer was. It was a definitive no. So did the words need to change, or did Quincy Moran need to change? You got it right. You had the answers to the test. Quincy Moran had to change. So it means I had to turn around. I had to start swimming upstream. I had to face the resistance. And I had to decide to become a new man. Simple. The process has not been easy. So what I'm delivering to you is 16 plus years in the making. It's an opportunity for you to accelerate this mission in your life. Don't get it twisted, dude. This is not like a 50-yard sprint. This is a marathon if I've ever been on it. It's a marathon. So get locked in. But the funeral experience changed my life, and by God's will, God's good graces, when I go and talk at this particular celebration of life, I'm going to talk about the opportunity that we have with this celebration of life to give us an opportunity to recalibrate who we are and what actions we take and how we treat one another and how can we become a better family because of this victory in celebrating this beloved woman's life. How can we? Because the opportunity is in front of us. We can leave the same, or we can choose to swim upstream. So here's what I want to reiterate with you as I close this out. I've already told you, you make a choice to become a new man. Commit to observing your quiet dialogue. Engage in the funeral experience. Then, every single day, you focus on what you can affect. I'm going to read this one more time. Focusing on what you can affect relates directly to your attitude, your actions, your effort, and your intentions. These are my final words for this particular program, and I pray that they reach you right in your heart. I pray that they speak to you in your soul so that you can feel the gravity of the opportunity that's in front of you. Restore your authority one rep at a time. Focus on what you can affect, your attitude, your actions, your efforts, your intentions. Decide today. Observe that quiet dialogue. Hey, dude, make some notes about it. If you have the courage to, send it to me. I will go back and forth with you about what it is you're going through. You can use me as a sounding board. When you email Quincy at mvsmpodcast.com, this show is still at a level and may always be where I get the emails, no matter how big the show gets, where they come directly to me, because that is actually sacred. So that's the decision I just made. Use the funeral experience as your reminder. And then day in and day out, show up regardless of how you feel. If you have not yet, I want you to go listen to the episode I did recently on transformation. Because disciplines will get us to a certain part in the race. Disciplines will get us to a certain place of success in our race. But picking up on true transformation and finishing the next step to becoming a new man is truly where all of this is. Focus on the things that you can affect. No more blame shifting. There's no more blame shifting. It's taking personal responsibility. And I encourage you to get into this today. Would you head over to quincymoran.com? You can go there and see our notes. What you can also do is you can sign up for what is to come. I'm about to launch a new project called Family Famous. You probably see it on my hat if you're watching the program. This is about marriage, this man versus marriage. This will be a connected project to that, and it's called Family Famous, where I teach you leadership at home. Look, it doesn't always look perfect. We have our own set of adversity here in the Moran household, as you have children to adolescents to adults. It is a part of it because you are growing and teaching and training and raising actual adults that are going to make their own decisions and have their own consequences. But what we will do is we will play the long game so they know when nobody else in their life will tell them the truth, they know that their dad will tell them the truth, and it will come from a place of love. Sometimes it has to be tough love. But I encourage you to go there to my website and to sign up. There are many areas on there that we have recently updated with more and more of my story. If you want, you can go on, you can get a shirt, and you can go out and rep the brand because you're becoming a new man. I invite you to email me, Quincy at mvsmpodcast.com. Let me pray for you real quick. Let me move this hat. Father, I thank you for your faithfulness. I thank you for your anointing. I thank you for who you are in the lives of each of these men that are listening. I even pray for those that don't know you yet. Jesus, I pray that you would speak to them, that you would connect to them, that you would meet them where they are. And Lord, I just pray that you would speak to the spirit, deep into the soul of these men, and let them know that they are not alone, that you will never leave them or forsake them. Remind them that your yoke is easy, that your burden is light, and that we can exchange ours for yours. Father, that you will teach us and train us and guide us, and then we could partner with men that are like-minded to lead our homes. Our authority is given by you, and when we surrender that, we disjoint our home. And I'm calling on these men to take back their authority. And Jesus, that you would teach us what it means to be in service to those that you love, because you said yourself, you came to this earth to serve, and you led by example. And that's what I'm calling us to do as well, to lead our family by the example. Thank you for your goodness. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your faithfulness. Lord, I just pray a blessing over each of the households that are listening, all around the world, to those who are listening to this podcast. I pray that they would become believers in your faithfulness. This is testimonial. This is testimonial. Jesus, you literally bled for this. And I thank you for life and goodness. In your mighty, loving name I pray. Amen. Guys, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being a part of this program. My name is Quincy Moran, and this is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast.